You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
Tired of restless nights? At Leesa, they know good sleep is essential for mental, physical, and emotional health. From memory foam mattresses to hybrids that keep you cool all night long, Leesa's mattresses offer exceptional comfort and support with free delivery and 100 nights to try out your mattress in the comfort of your home. Go to Leesa.com today and get 20% off all mattresses. That's LEESA.com and use code IHEART for an extra $50 off your purchase. Remember, no matter who you are, there's a Leesa just for you.
Where are we?
Hey, sleepyheads.
All right, new rule. Eli is not allowed to pour any more beverages around the house.
Probably feel really weird.
Eli, what is this, and why is there? What's the medical setup around here? Is this stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Why is my lower body it's all wrapped in gauze? What's happening? Okay, so guys, don't freak out.
Oh my God, no.
Wait, what?
This week's episode is about castration.
I will kill you.
Wait, come on. Wait a second. Just wait. I know. I know this seems bad, but think about it. Think about it. What do you all want to do right now?
You mean something else other than kill you? Because I want to kill you. I'm going to kill you.
I don't
Torture
know.
you?
Read a book? Maybe? Read a book.
Yeah, no, a book sounds really good.
Honestly, now that you mention it, I could do some watercolors. What am I saying? Why would I do water?
That's what I'm saying. Now that we have our, shall we say, distractions out of the way, we can be our best selves. I mean, look at all this poetry I wrote just while I was waiting for you guys to wake up.
You know, I got to admit, I do feel, I don't know, clearer.
And, I mean, this is going to free up a bunch of extra time.
So much extra time.
A little bit of extra. I mean, so much extra time, yeah.
What about you, Heath?
Honestly, not that much of a change. Same.
Really?
Yeah. Wasn't super, distracted before or now, if you get my meaning. Just wasn't really distracted.
Oh, weird. There's got to be some benefit, though, right? I mean,
yeah, because, jerking off and...
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I didn't spend, that much time on that, so... I don't know.
Really? So no benefits?
Well...
okay, here we go. Something.
Okay, yeah, I got something. I guess I have an excuse to sit down while I pee now. I mean, that was always kind of a thing. Like a whole thing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that sounds restful.
Restful, yeah, it is. Thank you. It is. Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, a podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Heath, and welcome to 45 minutes of wincing.
Yep.
This should be fun. You can't see us right now, but trust me, we look like we're all reluctantly forming a 5-man wall to defend a free kick in soccer with the hands up, blocking it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure we're all doing that. And joining me in the wincing wall are a Greek Orthodox priest, Chingachgook of the Mohicans, and a rabbi who look like they're about to walk into a bar in a joke premise. Please welcome Cecil, Noah, and Eli.
Geek Orthodox, thank you very much. Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm cool with it if the Mohicans are, and I don't hear them protesting. So.
See, and I was actually going to be a rabbi, but I ended up going for a less atheist profession. So, you know.
There you go.
And also joining me is the Irish bartender who makes them all leave for bringing a Jewish guy. Please welcome Tom.
Okay, all right. To be fair, the Jew was Eli, so
That's
I
fair.
feel like
right. No, he has
standard.
Tomato juice.
been. Yeah.
Might have just been anti-Eli, not Semitic. Right. So let's get right into it.
No, I'm
Tell us-
anti-Semitic too. That's okay, right?
Okay.
They're not mutually exclusive. Usually one helps the other, and really that works both ways.
Good clarifying information. Great.
I was making the okay sign. That was
Oh my God, you see that at the Army-Navy game? Fuck those people.
so terrible.
Gross. All right, well, let's do it. Tell us, Cecil, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event are we going to be talking about today?
They were going to be talking about castration.
And Noah, what the fuck is happening? Why are we talking about this? What are you doing?
Because apparently, left to your own devices, you go off script for 2 seconds and you're talking about white supremacy. So I've got to rein shit in.
That was Tom.
I'm not sure why you're surprised at all, but okay.
I'm not. I wrote a whole essay to distract you guys from that subject.
I was just yes-anding it. Now it feels weird that I did that. Okay, go ahead.
No. Okay, so because as anybody who follows me on Facebook knows, I have recently welcomed a couple of new kittens into my home, and then had them modified to meet my specifications. So I've
OEM
had
kittens, fuck them.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I've had severed balls on the brain a bit.
Yeah, Noah's the only person I can imagine leaving the vet's office with an actual doggy bag.
Only person, really.
All right. So, and I have to say this because it's my job, technically. Tell us about castration, Noah.
Will do. Okay, so I've been waiting so long for someone to say that. Thank you, Heath. First, a quick point on nomenclature here. The term castration can mean a couple of different things. Most of the time when you hear about castration, it's in reference to balls getting cut off or otherwise deactivated. But the term isn't necessarily genital specific. So castration is also sometimes used to refer to the removal of ovaries. For the purposes of this essay, though, because this is sort of the limitation of the Wikipedia article, we're going to go with the more common testicle-specific understanding of the term.
Deactivated? Like what? They stop like ascending and descending with the temperature? What is deactivated?
I
mean, yes, they do. That's not the main thing. But
in my head, it makes like a...
Yeah, exactly.
Wah, wah.
So now that's not to say, though, there's not going to be any ambiguity about the terminology here, because according to the article, castration can also be used to refer to emasculation.
Like when someone woman-splains on Twitter, right?
No.
And you're the president of the United States and you lose a Twitter fight to a 16-year-old.
Not once, but twice. Twice. He lost twice.
She's such a good troll. She's amazing.
Hey guys, be
twice.
best.
Yeah.
No, nobody.
All right. So the key here, though, is the emasculation thing. That of course is when both the nuts and bolts are removed, and in some cultures, there's no distinction made between those two procedures. Linguistically, I'm sure, regardless of your culture, you notice the difference. But in the cases, a lot of the historical castrations we're going to be talking about, we don't actually know if the sources are referring to sans balls or sans balls and cock.
I just want to throw this out there. Only Noah could start an essay about cutting off dicks and balls with a 5-minute digression about nomenclature.
I mean, after they take your balls, isn't like whether they leave you with your dick sort of, it's kind of academic, right? Like, well, we've removed your balls, so your dick is pretty much a useless piss tube, but we left it there so you can look at it and feel shame. That's good.
No. I want the piss tube.
Right, no, exactly. It's
If I have the option.
precisely
Yeah,
questions
exactly.
like that I wrote this essay to answer. So thank you. Okay, so I figured I'd ease everybody into the subject a bit by starting off with talk about non-human castration. I think it's worth emphasizing that we don't just castrate our animals to keep them from reproducing. Sometimes it's just about showing them who's boss.
Tony Danza?
No, Judith Light, you sexist. Just so clear.
Angela.
This is just a sexist fucking title. She was clearly the fucking boss. Anyway, we also whack off animals' balls for all kind of different reasons. Sometimes it's to reduce aggression towards humans or other males of their species, as is the case with mules, for example, which are regularly castrated despite being born infertile. Sometimes, though, it's to reduce the damage that they do to all the shit that they tear down trying to get to the females. And sometimes it's just because castration leads to increased weight. Sometimes, in fact, it's just so that they'll taste better.
Okay, honestly, based on how the human male behaves, I feel like those first two benefits are worth considering. Like, it's not a question.
And that is the future liberals want, Keith. That is the future.
According to my brother-in-law, yes.
Well, according to Fox News, that's Liz Warren's wealth tax right there.
All right, so that last one about the taste deserves a quick aside. Apparently, domestic pigs are castrated, at least in part, to avoid an unpleasant chemical concentration that's stored in the fatty tissues of some sexually mature males. And I know right now Tom's doubting whether that deserved any aside, regardless of how quick, but the term for that problem is boar taint. And there is no fucking way I'm going to read an article with a phrase like boar taint and not share it with you guys.
Thank you for that.
And in order to reduce boar taint, you have to expand the boar taint. It makes sense. It makes sense now.
Okay, fun fact. I actually bought, and Cecil can attest to this, a
yeah.
pork shoulder from a pig that had boar taint. And the meat literally smells exactly like actual shit.
Yep.
So it is possibly the most accurate name for anything ever.
All right, so
it smelled like actual poop.
So apparently, and obviously your anecdote changes this a little bit, but the boar taint problem might be a little bit overblown in pigriculture or whatever that's called. From what I've read, thank you. The part of, and what I've read, I should say, is the part of the paragraph on Wikipedia that addressed this, so I don't fucking know. Quote, recent research in Brazil has shown that castration of pigs is unnecessary because most pigs do not have the boar taint. This is due to many breeds of pigs simply not having the hereditary for the boar taint and the fact that pigs are normally slaughtered at a young market weight. End quote.
Just a Brazilian pig is like, what do you mean you don't need to do that anymore? What is Steve?
Okay. Sorry, this is off topic, but I just want to dwell on this for a second. In Eli's head, Brazilian is a very large number based on the way he
Based on the spelling,
Very much.
it is very clearly a large number, and based and like apparently, you know, spell check is good with that.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought
Yeah,
Brazilian is when you shave the whole taint. That's just like clean, smooth taint. No, okay, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
You know
on
what?
that.
It didn't specify which type of Brazilian it was talking about in the article. So yeah, no, it could be. All right. So when it comes to our pets, we have a special term. All of a sudden, castration becomes neutering, right?
The Bolsonaro.
No, it's just, look, neuter is a way easier word to say when you're looking at a couple of rambunctious little kittens and contemplating which parts of their anatomy have to go. In fact, there's damn near a cottage industry in not using the term castration or castrated when we talk about animals, which is why so many animals have like the standard name for the detesticled varieties, including, I brought a list, barrow, castrated pig, capon, or I think capon, that's castrated chicken, gelding, castrated horse, gib, castrated cat or ferret. Odd that they'd make those two share a word.
That's
yeah,
going
right.
to confuse
But
a lot
okay.
of people in some weird conversations. I'm just saying.
Absolutely, yeah, right. And wether, which is a castrated sheep or goat, also useful for Scrabble.
Indeed.
Now, you may have noticed that your favorite word for a castrated domestic animal was missing from that list.
Actually, I was hoping you might notice that you're the only person with a favorite word for a castrated domestic animal. Just, you have weird lists.
Mine was on the list, though. Mine was gib. All right, anyway. But the reason, though, it might not have been there is that there are too damn many terms for castrated cattle. Check this out. Bullock, castrated bull. Stag, castrated bull or sheep or horse. Ox, castrated bull if it was castrated after it was sexually mature. Steer, castrated bull if it was castrated before it was sexually mature. Rig, incompletely castrated cattle or horse.
Wait, incompletely? Do people just lose interest halfway through the castration?
Right.
Like, I don't
the dinner bell
just wander
ring.
off. Like, what?
They just didn't finish the job. They just left him with one blue ball.
Apparently,
One blue ball for one blue ox. Yeah.
So often that they had to come up with a term for it. Okay, so that wraps up that section. Now my choice from this point is to move on to either methods of animal castration or human castration. Which do you guys want to talk about?
Fatty Arbuckle.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
All right, so human castration it is. Now, to be clear, I was kidding earlier when I applied that I had my kittens castrated to show them who's boss, but historically speaking, it has been used to send that message a lot. So I'm just going to offer up the opening of the history subheading from Wikipedia. Quote, castration was frequently used for religious or social reasons in certain cultures in Europe, South Asia, Africa, and East Asia. After battles, in some cases, winners castrated their captives or the corpses of the defeated to symbolize their victory and seize their power.
Well,
end quote.
They'd throw a huge party for the castrated prisoners. A celebration. Celebration.
Costume ball.
That's just rude. That's rubbing it in.
I'm going to put all this in my new management book. First, break all the balls.
There you go. All right, so of course, assuming that the defeated enemy you just castrated was alive, the ancient world could find plenty of uses for him. Eunuchs, which is the human form of Gib, were often admitted to a special social class that allowed them to staff bureaucracies and palace households, most notably harems, because ultimately you need somebody working harem logistics at a certain point, apparently.
Also, it eliminates the whole, getting high on your own supply issue.
It does.
Maybe.
Noah, just to be really clear, someone answered the question, who can we trust with this job? With the answer, that guy we vanquished, enslaved, and sexually mutilated.
Yes.
Like, there's more than one way to fuck someone. These guys knew that,
No,
right?
exactly. And they answered it that way so many times. I don't get it. All right. So according to Wikipedia, too, quote, castration also figured into a number of religious castration cults, end quote. Pretty sure they're not around anymore. That's a one generation religious movement, I do believe. Okay. So the wiki authors then go on to point out that some religions strongly oppose castration, specifically Judaism.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed like a weird flex to me, but it goes on to point out that according to Mosaic law, eunuchs aren't allowed to even be full priests, which is true. I read that book, and I remember thinking it was weird that God was specifying the testicular specifications for priesthood, but he did. He totally did.
Well, I don't know. Just, one way or the other. It depends on how you make the rule. God, if you're listening, maybe you look ahead on the timeline of priests next time you make a rule about that.
I'm not sure they're feeling all that smug. The Jews don't really have a foreskin to stand on here.
Now, I should be clear that there are voluntary castrations, of course. There are also medical procedures that require it. Not all castrations are bad.
Necessary is not mutually exclusive to bad, Noah. That's
right. No, you're right.
That's bad news, no matter how that plays out.
Not as bad as the alternative. Exactly, right. But still, not all castrations are bad. Historically speaking, though, most of them are. Take, for example, one of the earliest known references to castration, which comes to us through Greek mythology. I know I wanted it to be Etruscan too, folks. I really did, but I got to go where the facts lead me.
That would have been the best.
So this is the god Uranus, who, after a lifetime of indignities at having the butt name, was castrated by his son Cronus just for imprisoning the Cyclops, who, for the record, really needed imprisoning. Okay.
Probably something about Uranus taint in there. Uranus. I don't know. And by the way, Cyclops is the OG Casey Anthony. So
absolutely, exactly. Thank you. Now, the frequency and brutality of castration varies from place to place and century to century. The wiki article gives you a sort of a region by region breakdown, which includes a list of 9 famous castrated Europeans. But I'm going to skip through the subheadings on Europe, China, Korea, Iran, and the Americas for just a second and zero in on the Vietnamese, who, if you have nothing to go by but this wiki article alone, apparently made castration into something of a national pastime.
So they have a ball game as their national pastime too, huh? That's crazy.
There you go.
They do, Cecil. A lot less clamoring to catch a foul ball, though.
I imagine. Yeah.
I don't know, though. If you're the kind of guy that paid for the ticket, I think, I don't know. I wouldn't. All right, so now they open this section, this enormous section on Vietnamese castration by blaming the Chinese. The Vietnamese adopted the eunuch system and the castration techniques they had from China. Now, those techniques included lopping off the dick along with the testicles, by the way, in case you hadn't winced for a minute.
Cutting off weenies and hacky sacks. I don't care if it ever grows back.
I love this too. This is definitely my favorite sentence in the Wikipedia. My favorite part were the pictures, but my favorite sentence was this one right here. It explains that, and then it helpfully adds, quote, "The procedure was agonizing since the entire penis was cut off."
What?
End quote.
That's not why.
That's
Well, but if you're having trouble believing it, I shit you not, that sentence comes with not one, but 7 citations.
More needed.
I'm not even sure where to begin with the sentence that since the entire penis was cut off. Would it have been less agonizing if they just cut off some of the penis? Like,
Yes, thank you.
like someone's like, oh, that's fine. That's just the tip. What the fuck?
Well, no, actually, no. Again, if you follow the citations, yes, it is significantly more painful. You're also like way more likely to bleed out and die if they take the dick along with you.
That's true.
So, trigger warning here.
Oh, here? Just now? This is where
Yeah, just now. No, this
Earlier,
worse
the title.
Worse
The show.
trigger warning. Now, the article offers some details here. Quote: "The young man's thighs and abdomen would be tied, and others would pin him down to a table. The genitals would be sterilized with pepper water and then cut off."
Nope, that's
What?
just mean.
What?
That's being mean now.
Yeah, oh yeah. A tube would then be inserted into the urethra to allow urination during healing. End quote. So after they were castrated, the newly minted eunuchs were generally enslaved and sent to work in the palace, where only the emperor was allowed to have a penis.
And you thought take off your shoes houses were bad,
Right?
Still do. Still, that's fucking rude.
Yeah, no, but these houses also had to have plastic over
Just
everything. So
leave your dicks and balls on the landing. Come on.
Okay, we're putting all our balls on the bed in the guest room.
all right, so eunuchs were also a pretty profitable export for Vietnam, apparently, in the 14th century. Whenever the emperor was running low on money, he had a habit of just enslaving a few men, whacking off their genitals, and selling them to China, because basically everyone everywhere throughout history felt better about the whole eunuch thing if you only did it to outsiders.
Yeah, but then China starts to sell cheap knockoff eunuchs. Package looks the same, doesn't perform right.
You know who's a political outsider that could use this procedure?
All right, so speaking of which, the Vietnamese also castrated a lot of Chinese guys back then. The Wikipedia article lists several instances of Chinese ships being blown off course into Vietnamese waters. Then all the dudes would get kidnapped and castrated. In fact,
Choppy waters.
no, but apparently this was so common that the article implies it played a large role in the Chinese emperor's decision to cut off Chinese exploration in the early 15th century.
Yeah, I'm not going back on that boat. You can't make me do it.
Yes, exactly. Now, look, there are a ton of super interesting historical what ifs that surround that particular decision, right? Like, imagine how differently the story plays out if China has the superior maritime technology when the Europeans find the Americas. Like, just interesting to think of what an outsized influence the Vietnamese penchant for whacking off Chinese dicks might have played in the formation of the modern world.
Yeah, or if Native Americans had just cut off Christopher Columbus's dick, we might be in a totally
That would have helped, yeah.
Can you imagine, though, if like castration was a maritime tradition in general? Everyone's figurehead just has a huge set of balls on it.
Floating around. I would think they'd hang them off the back, like in the South. But yeah,
right? Just truck nuts everywhere.
Ship nuts, yeah.
All right. So Vietnam and China were in a testicle-based naval battle. It's the original spheres of influence issue right there. And I guess it's time for a quick break for some apropos of nothing.
And of course, here is where you'll be prepared for your job as a palace servant.
Oh, cool. Is this Is this like a knot tying class or something?
Oh, no. Those are to tie down our applicants during the procedure.
Oh, because they're so psyched?
Kind of. Now, first, this pepper water. We're going to apply this to your genitals.
Wait, pepper water? Isn't that going to hurt?
Most of our applicants inform us that it is not the part of the procedure they remember the most. So.
Oh, cool, I guess.
And then we, snippy snip at this point. That's the point.
Sorry, snippy snip? Did you say snippy snip?
Yeah, we cut off your penis and balls, but don't worry, you'll still be able to pee. So
that wasn't the issue I was worried about. Sorry, is the recruiter I spoke to around? He didn't mention anything about the snippy snip.
Oh yeah, I can see that. We try to avoid that in the initial meeting. You should have gotten a packet. You get a packet?
It's a big packet. Must have skimmed through that, I guess.
Yeah, I see. I mean, you did sign it, though. The packet, you signed it.
Oh, that is my signature, isn't it?
Yep.
No, there's no way to back out now?
Right, not. No, you signed it.
Oh.
Well, I've got you. Any interest in signing up for the National Guard while you're here?
No, get the fuck out of here. What kind of idiot do I look like? Jesus.
Yeah, that's fair. Have to ask. I'm going to go ahead and go get those scissors.
Fuck. Yeah. Oh, you do that. National Guard. Oh, bring the fucking paperwork. Whatever.
Yeah, that was my bad. You're not castrated yet.
And we're back. When we left off, Noah was telling us the classic Yuletide story of genital removal. Merry Christmas, everybody. What's next?
All right, so up until this point, we've been talking strictly about surgical castration, which seems like a weird name to use when I'm talking about Vietnamese pirates lopping the dicks off of imprisoned sailors. That doesn't exactly scream surgical at that point. But
so now we're going to talk about non-invasive castration?
Yeah, right. So the division
Holistic castration.
Homeopathic? Use drum?
Well, so the division that shows up in the article is just a binary choice between surgical, meaning that something's actually getting lopped off, and chemical, meaning that some pharmacological substance is being introduced for the purposes of sterilization. All right, so that brings us to one of the most controversial uses for castration, in the modern day anyway, and that's punitive castration. So the idea is that you take a sex criminal, right? Like a child molester that, like, the psychologists tell you is ultimately incurable. As punishment, you order them to be castrated so that they're sterile and their sex drive is greatly diminished. Or more often, you give them the choice between that and a very long prison sentence so that you can say later that this was a voluntary thing.
Jesus. Okay, well, all that being said, I'm still going to volunteer to vote for Joe Biden if it comes down to that. Everybody needs to be fucking line.
Vote for Joe Biden, have my balls chemically sterilized. Vote for Joe Biden.
Deal with it, motherfucker.
Deal with it. All right, so there are plenty of problems with that idea, but even if you set aside the human rights issues around it,
Done and done. Yep.
Yeah.
there's also a lot of evidence to suggest that it doesn't actually work.
Still funny,
So,
though.
again, well, no, it is. It is the funniest of all the punishments. So the criticism section here in the wiki article is a little lean on citation, so I can't vouch for the authenticity of any of this, but it's worth putting this out there. So first of all, yes, there is plenty of data on this. In the Czech Republic, this is actually a pretty standard punishment for sex offenders, and the numbers they cite on Wikipedia say that they physically castrated at least 94 convicts between 1998 and 2008. And if you ask Czech authorities about it, they'll tell you there's been zero recidivism among the people who have chosen castration.
If they don't follow up with these guys periodically and scream, ball check, they are doing it wrong.
Now, to a lot of people, this seems like a no-brainer. Which is the problem, okay? Consider that the point of castration is sterilization, and if all you wanted was sterile sex offenders, yeah, this would be pretty much effective. But castration does not eliminate the sexual urge, or at least the degree to which it does varies from individual to individual. My cat Loki still mounts shit from time to time and tries to fuck it. He hasn't seen his balls since the Bush administration. And according
Neither
to
is Newt Gingrich, though, so yeah.
Well, that's... And according to the wiki, some criminologists argue that the castration option just creates a bias sample by allowing people super motivated not to go to jail an opportunity to self-select. Right, like think about it. The people who opt not to undergo castration are obviously way cooler with the idea of winding up in prison than the people willing to have their balls chopped off to get out of it, right? So it might be that the numbers look good because your subset here are people really motivated to hide their crimes.
Okay, I feel like that's true of just most criminals, though. That's just the function.
First of all, you'd be surprised. My dad was a cop. He's got a lot of stories to tell.
I said motivated, not effective.
Not competent too. But even for criminals. And it also might just be that investigators treat castrated men as it would be impossible for them to reoffend anyway, and thus ignore evidence that they have. All right, so now also, of course, this is just a really fucked up ass thing to do to somebody as punishment, especially in a world where, we don't always know for sure that you've got a guilty guy. And of course, while we're on the subject, it would be remiss of me not to mention the most famous victim of court-ordered castration in the modern world, Alan Turing. Right, he was, of course, the inventor of the Turing machine and the father of computer technology. He was also gay, and that was more than just frowned upon in the UK of the 1950s. So when he was caught gaying, he was given the option to undergo chemical castration in lieu of a lengthy prison sentence, and then killed himself 2 years later.
Hey, but that was cheating. That wasn't even one of the two options. That's bullshit.
Oh, God.
I don't know. We don't think of this as a success nowadays, but uptight 1950s culture probably totally did.
They probably did, yes, actually.
It's cool, though. The UK apologized. It's fine. In 2009, they apologized in 2009.
Yep.
Like a fucking, like a third grader who stole a lunchbox. It was all like harumphy. They were like, yeah, thanks for pretty much single-handedly defeating Hitler. Sorry for,
Yeah, you do.
All right. We're going to go ahead and spiral into a tragic alt-right hellscape over the next 10 years.
To be fair, they had to say it right in front of Prince Andrew, so that had to be awkward, right?
So, as fucked up as the idea of using castration to control people's sexuality is, there might be one European use of the practice that's even more despicable, and that's the idea of lopping off a child's balls so they can sing better.
Okay, wait, how much better, though? We're not...
A lot better.
Okay.
A lot better.
Keeping an open mind is what I'm doing. You guys,
whatever. Thank you, Tom. So full disclosure, I actually violated the spirit of the show and read a whole other article about this practice called the castrato. And I've got to say, that article totally fucking buries the lead. Here's its opening. Quote, a castrato, plural castrati, is a type of classical male singing voice equivalent to that of a soprano, mezzo-soprano, or contralto. So far, pretty dry music theory article. And then, quote, the voice is produced by castration of the singer before puberty.
Oh, you just get it out of the way when you do the circumcision. It's like a barber's visit. Little off the front, a little off the back, you get it all done in one place.
just going to try to even it out.
Yeah.
No, still not. Still not.
Yeah, I like the number 2 on the back and the number 1 on the front.
Make
Just
it look
keep
like a
trimming it.
mullet. I want like a downstairs mullet.
All right, so this was a thing for a surprisingly long time. Castrating a boy before puberty obviously prevents the typical changes to the larynx, and as a result, they'd more or less retain the vocal range that both sexes share during prepubescence. And because the Catholic Church was too misogynistic to allow women to sing for a really long time, castrati were the only real choice for hitting the high notes.
Nobody wants to hear Mozart's Requiem 3 octaves down, Alan. Just let us cut off your dick.
Right? we could always get a girl to sing it.
No, Alan.
No, that's stupid. Okay, here's my dick.
Thank you.
Am I the one who thinks castrati sounds like a pasta no one orders?
One noodle? What do I do with one noodle?
If only no one ordered it. Yeah, of course. There's no accepted start date for castrati. Men have been castrating each other as far back as written records go.
I mean, if I was going to write down anything.
Yeah.
Dear diary.
And of course, I'm sure just naturally along the way, people noticed that the men who were castrated, young had different singing voices.
Some guy was like, all right, guys, I know we're just doing this all for fun, but what if we made our product opera facing? I feel like there's a business here.
All right, so the first use of the term castrati comes from Italian church records from the 1550s, but no doubt the practice went way further back than
the
that.
Catholic Church, fucking kids multiple ways for a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, and keeping records about it, right? Yeah. So this lasted, like I said, a really long time. The Papal States, the last place in the universe to finally outlaw the practice of chopping
kidding.
off a kid's balls for musical aesthetics, didn't get around to it until 1870.
What the fuck?
Right. Now, think about that time scale, though. Pre-1550 to 1870, that means that basically every great opera ever written originally had a part for castrati. And I only mention that because if Tom gets red-faced over Etruscan trivia, just imagine how apoplectic I can make him if I start tossing in random opera facts on the regular, right?
Okay, I will point of clarification. No, I'm not actually all that red-faced. It's a lot of gin blossoms and liver damage. It's gin blossoms.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
Now, I should be clear that the voice of the castrato wasn't just a feminine voice. It was unique. According to Wikipedia, the lack of testosterone led to bone joints that didn't harden in the normal manner.
It's not the only thing that didn't harden.
That too. Also, in addition to the penis that Tom was referring to, their ribs grew more than most. And that gave them unrivaled breath capacity, apparently.
Let me see. Super long limbs, the seemingly impossible ability to squeak in high tones. Heath, something you want to tell us?
All right. All right. No.
Okay, I was going to say, I was just going to pause for a really long time if you didn't say that. So.
Also, by the way, they had women singing in operas for a bunch of this time. So they were just like, yeah, I don't know. I like the long legs too. So we're keeping this.
Yeah, like I said, it actually is a different singing voice. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, hold on, Noah. How the fuck would you know what a castrato sounds like? And that's a great question. And no, it's not, because I've been to Eli's basement. It has nothing to do with that. But I actually have heard a castrato voice, and so can you. Like I said, the Papal States only outlawed the ball chopping in 1870, but that's one of those things where you kind of have to grandfather some people in, right? So the last true castrato, a guy by the name of Alessandro Moreschi, who, interesting note, had a name that wasn't pronounced like that, was born in 1858 and died in 1922. We've had the ability to capture sound since the 1870s. Now, as near as I can tell, there is only one recording that still exists of Moreschi, whatever his name is, and it's the only existing audio of a castrato voice, of a true castrato voice. And lucky for us, it's very much public domain. So here's a quick clip. So, I got to admit, kind of a haunting and beautiful sound. What do you guys think? Is that worth whacking kids' balls off for?
Okay, I'm just saying, maybe we could combine the whole punishment and aesthetic choices thing. I mean, most pedophiles are already in the Catholic Church. Two birds, two stones.
No, I feel like you sort of painted us into a corner there. Like, what are we going to do? Listen and then be like, yeah, I mean, I know you got your balls chopped off for that little ditty, but like, do you know any Billy Joel?
Town girl.
All right, so one final note on the castrati. There actually are a few guys who can basically sing all of these parts today.
Yes,
for example,
there are.
there's an opera singer. Yep. There's an opera singer named Javier Medina who suffered a chemical castration as the result of a cancer treatment. He is not public domain, though, so you have to look him up on your own.
Yeah, just not on Tinder.
Why not, Cecil? Why not?
All right. Noah, if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, and I'd like you to sing it as a castrato, what would it be?
All right, what I learned, honestly, is that I do have the willpower to not only quit smoking, but also to learn that the Vietnamese originally, their method of castration was to rub feces on your testicles and have dogs chew them off.
Shut the
But I had the willpower
What?
to leave that out of the essay and
Jesus.
not burden you guys with that knowledge.
Who
That's what I learned.
prefers that as
I have so many questions. I have so many follow-up questions.
they stopped doing that because they realized that they could sell it. They could sell the Unix way easier if they did the knife.
Does that work? Do the dogs want the feast? I thought it was like peanut butter.
Ever more important, George Washington Carver.
I don't like because apparently it doesn't take like. Have you met dogs? It doesn't take much.
This begets more questions than it answers.
Oh, yeah, we need a whole new essay.
All right. Well, are you ready for a quiz about this topic, Noah?
Yes, I am. Apparently.
Okay. Noah, what's the best romantic comedy about castration?
Oh, good question.
A, 10 things I castrate about you. B, you've cut mail. C,
Phenomenal.
someone like eunuch. Or D, spay anything.
All right. Well, I will say that this episode has not been gender inclusive enough, so I'm going to go D, spay anything.
Yeah, there we go.
You are correct. Absolutely.
All right, Noah. Building on Cecil's theme, what movie would have been way better if it were cut?
I love, by the way, that you phrased that as something other than I accidentally wrote the same question as Cecil. Well done.
A, Family Jewels of the Nile. B, The Scrote Book. C,
It's a good movie.
The Nutty Professor.
It's not a good movie.
Or D, Twins.
All right, because it seems to me like we might have a nice little battle in the offing here. I'm going to have to go with B, The Scrote Book, because it was a great movie.
That is correct.
I have never seen it. My wife,
Indeed. 2 votes.
my
Thank
wife
you.
loves the
Locked
fucking-
in.
Literally the worst movie I've ever seen.
That is an excellent way to have sex, that movie. That's true.
Team Scrote Book.
Team Scrote Book.
How are we defining good? Are we defining good movie by you will get to have sex after you watch it? Because that's how I'm defining it.
If you watch it by yourself, it's a guarantee, man.
All right, Noah, as a quick recap, castration is an aggressive solution, to be sure, but it solves which of the world's important problems? A, what? B, false. C, no. D, penis envy.
I feel like it would exacerbate D, so I'm going to go with C. No.
Penis envy, I guess, because you have to be
no,
right.
I was somehow
it was penis
incorrect.
envy.
I was
You were close.
Oh my
You're
God,
off.
the only real answer.
Couple letters right there.
But
All right.
Oh, other people's penis envy. Okay, now I get it. I get it. Okay,
You heard it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Tom, congratulations. You're the winner.
all right, well then you should write an essay.
Fantastic.
And yours comes out on actual Christmas, Heath, so don't use
Yeah.
castration.
Do yours on female genital
All
mutilation.
right, well, now you stole my Christmassy theme that I was going to do. I don't know what the fuck Christmas thing I'm going to come up with. Chopping off
Just reindeer recipes.
something more Christmassy than that. I don't know that it exists. I'm going to try. All right. Well, for Tom, Noah, Cecil, and Eli, I'm Heath. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week. And by then, apparently I will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can hear Tom and Cecil on Cognitive Dissonance, and you can hear Eli, Noah, and myself on God Awful Movies, The Scathing Atheist, and The Skeptocrat. And if you'd like to encourage us by adding, I don't know, one single patron since we launched, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, listen to past episodes, connect with us on social media, or take a look at the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com.
So, wait, what do you do all day?
I don't know. Just like hang out.
Right, but like what activity does that denote?
I hang out.
Oh.
Like you just sit there?
I mean, I do sit there sometimes, yes.
all day, the whole day.
Not all day, Tom. Just like some. Some of it.
Okay. Okay.
It is okay.
No, it is. Yeah, sure.